Are you on the verge of burnout and exhaustion from your career? Maybe you love what you do, but are lacking peer support and professional connections. Then you need to come to the 2-day Social Connections Virtual Summit happening September 25th and September 26th. This 2-day social wellness and relationship building summit is unlike any other you've ever seen. When you join the Social Connection Summit, your professional relationships are going to transform. You will be inspired by our dynamic speakers who will be sharing actionable steps to help you set boundaries to prevent burnout, schedule your time effectively, restore your emotional and physical health, and so much more. You will have ample opportunities to connect with your peers, develop new relationships, and even forge friendships with our curated networking sessions. And there's more. For those of you who want extra support and personalized guidance towards reaching your goals, you may book a complimentary one-on-one coaching session with a world-class coach of your choice. Don't miss the Social Connections Virtual Summit September 25th and September 26th. Get your tickets at patternsofpossibility.com/events. Early bird ticket sales end soon, so get yours today. Go to patternsofpossibility.com/events. That's patternsofpossibility.com/events. Hey, what's going on? My name is Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we'll explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting connections. In this episode, we're going to talk about drifting away from your friends. Now, it's a fact of life. There's a friend for a reason, friend for a season, and a friend for a lifetime. And we rarely have those friends for a lifetime. We have those that we want to keep close to us, but they keep drifting, and we keep trying, and they keep drifting, and we keep trying to hold on to them. So what we're going to talk about today is noticing when this drift is happening and doing something practical to repair the relationship as much as you can. Are you ready? Let's go. In high school, I had a really good friend that they were my best friend. We hung out so much. They were a grade less than me, so we didn't have the same classes, but we lived on the same street, and we would just talk and hang out and play video games and just kind of, be teenagers together. And that relationship faded away. Spoiler alert, it faded away. That was more than 20 years ago when we started our friendship. We started our relationship, and sometimes we touch base. We say hello to each other, and that's pretty much it. And it's sporadic too. It's not ever because of a holiday. It's just a random, I was thinking about you. How are you doing? And we might talk, and then that's it. That's how our relationship has gone from being connected and talking just about every day, seeing each other every day, to randomly every year, maybe 2 years would go by and we would say hello to each other. And it's hard when you have those kind of relationships with people that you think that you're going to grow with and that you're going to be connected to. It's hard when you have to let go. And that's not the only relationship that was like that for me. I had a friend that I had met in 2014, and we had grown together, and we met at a point where we really understood and appreciated our lives. We did a lot of karaoke together. And it was just a good relationship from that point of view, from that time. And we even grew together. They started to better their lives, and so did I. I started to better my life. I started to learn more about myself, and then we separated. I moved to Chicago, and they moved to another state too. And so we separated, and we managed to keep touch every once in a while by phone or text. But then, I grew a little more, and our relationship ended. They grew a little more, and our relationship ended. And now we don't talk to each other at all. I share those two tidbits with you because I always talk about life from my own experiences. I always talk about the patterns that I've recognized from my own experiences. And this is one big one. And it's not unique to me, of course. We have those relationships and they grow apart. But why? What happened? What happened to make this relationship that was really great for a few years, for several years, disappear? So that's what I want to talk about today. What I've discovered out here in my journey to make meaningful relationships and connect with people authentically, after having so many of those connections be created and then fall apart, I realized that there are three major components to a meaningful relationship. So if your relationship is falling apart or it's fading, they're not calling you back, they're not texting you, you're not sure why you're hanging out, you're not sure if you're hanging out with them in a space and you're like, I don't know why I'm even here. If you're talking to them, you're like, I'm bored with what the topic is, or they don't seem to be interested in you. You're not interested in what's going on in their life. There's something that we want to focus on to retain the relationship, bring it back together if we can, or not release the relationship entirely, but to actually put them in a different position so that, they're not completely gone, but you know what the purpose of your relationship is. And to do that, I want you to focus on these three things. There are your history, there are your hobbies, and there are your habits. Those three pieces of who we are what connect us. And the more of those pieces of your history, your hobbies, and your habits that you have aligned with your friend, or that you have aligned with anyone in your relationship, the stronger your relationship is going to be. The stronger your relationship is going to be. So our friendships, our meaningful relationships are really created in joy. What's fun, what's exciting, what's interesting to you, what's shaped your life. Now let's look at the history. When we talk about our history, we're talking about the experiences that have shaped who we are. And we generally want to connect on those joyful experiences that have shaped who we are. The vacations that we took together, the hometown that we grew up in, the kind of family dynamics we had and we could relate to, like if you grew up in a single household, or if you grew up in a large family, you grew up poor, you grew up rich, you're going to be able to connect on those experiences of what it was like at that point in time. So we want to know what those are. And a lot of people think that as time passes, those points in history, we grew up together, we grew up on the same block, we went to the same high school. We think that those experiences are enough to keep it together. We may have even had an experience where we got lost together and we got in a lot of trouble because we got lost and our parents didn't appreciate that. And we could laugh about that. Remember those days? Ha ha ha. But that's not enough to carry you into the future. That's not enough. So when you're thinking about these relationships that you have and they're drifting, certainly look at the history of it, what's joyful and fun and exciting, but just hold on to that, because that's just 1/3 of the component. The next one, we're going to talk about your hobbies. Your hobbies are those activities that you currently do for fun, those activities that bring you joy. You want to know what those are, right? For yourself. And in order to connect with the person that you are hanging out with today, or you have the history with today, you want to look at that and say, look, I have this hobby of going ice skating, or maybe I like to collect buttons. Maybe I do puzzles. Maybe I like to read books or watch movies. Maybe I don't even just like to watch movies, but I like to know all the things behind the scenes. I'm really, really obsessed with the wardrobe. Whatever it is that's joyful and interesting to you, we want to look at that for yourself, and then look at your partner, your friend, your coworker, and say, do you like those things too? Is that enjoyable for you? And you're not looking for what they like. You're looking for what you like to see if it matches. Because if you start looking for what they like and try to conform or try to be a part of that, it's going to cause you a bit of dread. because maybe you don't like those things that they do. Now they're into soccer. Now they like to watch the Olympics, and you're not interested in sports at all. It'll be difficult for you to engage with them to find something to talk about and connect on. So what is it that you like to do for fun? What's interesting, exciting about the activities in your life? You want to share with them and see if they like those things. So we're just looking for the connection. That's 2/3 of it. If you've got a great history together and you currently enjoy some of the same things, a lot of the same things, the more of it, the more of the history and the hobbies that you have together, the better the connection is going to be. And another thing about history, I know we're talking about hobbies right now, but another thing about history is that history changes as you go forward. There are events that might be more prevalent in your history than what you two shared together. And so you want to try to connect on those things too. Oh, you got a divorce? Or you got married? Or you have kids? You want to connect on those things, the things that bring you joy, of course. So it's worth talking about those specific things. So we've got your history right now. We've got your hobbies. And now finally, we have your habits. So if history is a snapshot of who you were, your hobbies are who you are today, what brings you joy in your life today. The habits will be your future. What do you do currently? Not aspire to do. Like, you don't aspire to do this. You're actually doing this as part of your routine. What do you do in your life that is going to help you create that person you want to be? What are your daily habits like? See, if you're a person who gets up at 5 a.m., your routine may look a little different than someone who goes to bed at 5 a.m. It might look a whole lot different. If you're getting up at 5 a.m., maybe you're doing some yoga and some meditation. You're doing some self-care. You're exercising. Your life may look like that. That's a whole part of your routine. If you're married with kids and you get up in the morning and the first thing you do is take care of your kids, then your life and your routine is going to look a lot different than someone who doesn't have kids or someone who doesn't get up extra early, right? And with that, you want to be able to talk about those experiences with your friends, the people that you keep close. That's what's going to build your relationship with them. So I always talk about having a sense of self, understanding who you are, and you're matching with that person that you wanted to connect with. So going through life, they have changed. They've had different experiences. Their hobbies have evolved. Their habits have evolved. If you want to reconnect with them, you have to talk about those things. Don't just be like, how are you doing? I miss the old days. Talk about your history as is recent and relevant and important to you as an individual, and see if they can connect with that. Talk about your hobbies and your habits the same way to see if they can connect with that. Now, what if they can't match? They don't really understand your history. That one piece of how you grew up together was just it, and they haven't evolved or changed in a way that you have. They didn't get married. They don't have kids. What if you moved out of state and they never moved out of state? And those are significant things that have happened in your life. What if you have a whole different set of hobbies than they have? What if you have a whole different lifestyle with your habits than they have? Then what do you do then? Well, here you're empowered to make a decision. It doesn't mean that you have to cut them off. Doesn't mean that you have to cut them off. But it means whatever pieces of your history, hobbies, and habits that you have, that you actually connect on, that you can share with each other, that they understand and appreciate and can resonate with, you stick with those. And if they are huge pieces of your history and your hobbies and your habits, then you'll have a better relationship. You'll have a closer relationship because there's always something to look back on together. There's always something to experience going forward together, right? But if you don't have that, you're empowered to decide how you want your relationship to look. At the very least, if you do this evaluation, if you do this comparison, if you check to see what is even there to connect on, that is, what is even there to share joy and talk about, then you can build your relationship the way you want. Hey, Patterns of Possibility fam. If you'd like a little more guidance and hands-on support, then I've got great news. You can hire me as your own personal coach. Go to patternsofpossibility.com/coaching to apply for individual or group coaching. In this 12-week program, I'm going to help you make the meaningful connections that you deserve. After this coaching program, I promise you'll be able to do 3 things. 1, you'll be able to clearly identify who belongs in your tribe and who doesn't. Say goodbye to those people who are wishy-washy, you're unsure of. No, you will know for certain whether or not they deserve to be in the same space with you. And second, you are going to know that your thoughts and feelings are valid and worth expressing. So if you do have feelings about your friends not holding up boundaries or not holding up space for you or not meeting your needs, then you are not going to shy away from telling them. You will be able to communicate your boundaries in a clear, concise manner and advocate for yourself in your relationships. And finally, you are going to learn how to start and stop conversations with strangers and steer them towards topics that are interesting and important to you. I don't know about you, but I don't have weeks, months, years to discover whether or not me and my new friend have compatible values. If you know what you're looking for, you can discover if you're compatible in just a few conversations. If all this sounds good to you and you're ready to make those meaningful connections, go to patternsofpossibility.com/coaching to find out more information. Again, go to patternsofpossibility.com/coaching to find out more information. I look forward to working with you. Now it's time for your listener letters. If you have burning questions about your friendships and your platonic relationships with your coworkers and so forth, let me know. Write me at patternsofpossibility@gmail.com, and I might just read your letter out loud. So this person writes in and says they're growing apart from their best friend, it's quotes, best friend of 20-something years. So they're a 32-year-old female, and they're not sure if their best friend relationship can last with a 33-year-old female. They say, I've been thinking about our situation for a while and came to the conclusion that I may have just been a placeholder in her life that she can shelve anytime she wants to. So they talk about their background. That's what I really like about this. Talk about their background. She dated my ex after we broke up. She gave me a crappy attitude during my 18th birthday, and it was a grand celebration with 200 people. We traveled together, and it was when she was single and dating around, but she was moody and emotional during this trip because of one of her breakups. She has a friend group that talked behind my back, and she didn't stand up for me against them. She likes to be in everybody's good books, but she didn't leave me in the lurch either. I don't know what that means, but she doesn't care about your feelings, I suppose. And then fast forward to recent events. I like how they separated the history and the recent events. It seems like it's more of a habit to be dismissed, but the recent events. Fast forward to more recent events. She makes me feel unimportant even in social media. She doesn't even bother to view my stories, but she's active. I started a small business a year ago, and she never once supported, even though simple words of affirmation would help. But she has time to post stuff and hang out with other friends. A few years ago, I started buying her flowers for her birthday every year and taking her out to high tea. She reciprocated by doing the same for me, but I realized it stopped when I stopped. So maybe she just did the same things even though she was not really genuine about them. I think I've reached my breaking point, and I've decided to step back and really think if I should stop expecting anything more from her. And that's it. That's what they said. So realizing that you've been in a bad relationship and that your friendship is falling apart are two things. I mean, we made it the same thing, but it's like a different realization. It seems like the person who wrote this has been dismissed and not treated well for several years. They said the 18th birthday, and they're 30 something now, 32. So what, 22 years, 24 years at least? That's a long time. But just keeping the hope that we would connect and they would be better, or something like that, would keep you in a relationship with them, would keep you being friends, would keep you searching and hoping. And then to fast forward to more recent events, she makes you feel unimportant. She doesn't reach out to you. She stopped taking you out for your birthday because you stopped taking her out for her birthday. Things like that. But I think the history, hobbies, and habits would apply here. It applies to all the situations that I've discovered, all the kind of relationships. So you have a history together. I'd be like, what's joyful about that history? What is joyful about it? Because if you're struggling to figure out if you want to connect with this person, there has to be joy somewhere in the relationship. There has to be joy somewhere. Even those people that we touch base with every once in a while, we think of the old days and some specific experience that happens, and it's fleeting and it's poof and it's gone. Remember that 4th of July with the fireworks, where we lit all the fireworks accidentally and it was just wild. Nobody got hurt, but man, wasn't that wild? We talk about those things together, and then that's it, because everything else has changed since then for both of you, and you can't connect on anything. The hobbies that you have today, the habits that you have today, you can't connect on any of those things. But when you pass each other emotionally or in some kind of experience, when you reach out to each other or you think about each other, you can talk about that one experience and anchor to that. But this right here is full of unpleasant experiences. It would repel you from them for sure. The history that you have together, the hobbies, doesn't seem like you have anything that unites you here. What is it that unites you here? What are some reasons why you would want to stay? And even so, if you found that both of you really enjoy ice hockey together, you're like, this is the best thing, I love it so much. Even so, is it enough to override the uncomfortable, undesired experiences that you had in your history? Do an evaluation. Going forward, we're looking at your habits. What do they do? Sounds like you started a business and they were unsupportive. Seems like they have a habit of being unsupportive. That's with you going to your birthday party. That is for you and your friendships, where they allowed the group to talk behind your back and she didn't stand up for you. There's a habit of not supporting you on social media, not supporting your business, not supporting your birthday, not taking you out, not doing the things that you would do for them. What's joyful about that? It just makes it a lot easier if you would evaluate on these experiences. But I know we get caught up and we're like, well, maybe things can change. I don't know. I'm not sure. If you're really, really intentional about finding joy in your relationship as it is, for the sake of, without it having to be work. What if I'm just overreacting? What if I'm just being a little too much? What if I want too much from this person? If you're saying those things about it, that's not a friendship in my book. Because more joy is found in your friendships, right? More excitement and more fun and less belittling. The things that are fun and exciting to you must not be a pain and a frustration to your friend, and vice versa. So if you're asking yourself, what if I'm doing too much? What if I want too much? Not from your friend, but from this associate that you have in front of you who's asking and is not capable. Yeah, you may be asking a little too much. So what you want to do after you do this evaluation is to decide where you want this person in your life. You either want them here close to you, or you want them some distance away or all the way away. Maybe you never want to talk to them again. Maybe you only want to remember the one good time that you had together with the fireworks. And every couple of years that comes up. And then that's it. But you're empowered to make that decision and decide. Remember, the history, hobbies, and habits, you connect on the joyful things, the joyful experiences that you have. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, share with someone who you think could benefit from this information, and follow me on social media. You can find me at Patterns of Possibility on all social media. And I go live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can catch me and learn more about these social connections and interact with other people who are looking for the meaningful connections, who share the same kind of stories, and be in community. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter at patternsofpossibility.com, where you will get actionable steps delivered to your mailbox every week. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, take care.